Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of Invite the Light. This episode is called Vision Quest. And for everybody in the United States, happy Martin Luther King Day. I am reminded of two quotes of his that have stayed with me over the years. The first one, which is a lesser known quote, goes like this. I love this quote. The changing of our world will come from the creative maladjustment of a non-conforming minority. And the second quote that I love, which you have probably heard, is that for evil to triumph or for evil to win, all that's required, and this is not verbatim, all that's required is for good people to do nothing. It's time for good people, has been time, to step up and act and work on solutions constructively instead of just feeding the problem and complaining and getting upset and getting frustrated and all of that. What I shared in my last episode, which was called Mission Possible, is that I am dipping into personal savings to make a trip to India to not only continue my own healing journey from Lyme disease, but also work on a relatively ambitious agenda that's connected to this nonprofit, which we called Matab, which is in essence me, and others can debate if I'm a good person. That's not for me to judge. But basically, I am trying to do some good in the world here. And that is why this episode is called Vision, because I would like to lay out my 4-step vision to you all. There are 4 things that I intend to work on over the next few years. And the first one is called the Malaysia Grace film. So, what is that all about? Our school in Nairobi, our flagship project, is called the Malaysia School. It's what I've been sharing about for the past, over a decade. We've been supporting this school since 2012 in different ways. And now, compared to where it was, it's really remarkable the journey that it's had and what the school has turned into. When I first saw it in 2012, the school had a lot of heart and a lot of love, but it was in a 10 by 10 shanty with no windows and no electricity. 60 children packed into one room across varying grade levels, 2 teachers. It was just chaos. But at that time, something was better than nothing, because if you are poor and you're living in this particular slum in Nairobi, you can't receive an education, because even the government run schools, which are labeled as free schools, they still have fees involved. And those fees exclude any one of our kids from going to school. So that's why the school is in existence, to provide free or low cost education for children who cannot afford an education. And that has been its mission since day one, and it's its mission now. The school looks much different. It is now a 2-story brick and mortar structure. There's 2 structures. 300 students are enrolled. To date, over 20,000 kids have been educated. We have served almost 1 million meals to these kids, because hunger used to be a major challenge at the school. There are 17 teachers. I could make an entire episode about the growth of this school. I'm putting it really in short form. There's 17 full-time teachers. The school is basically now a professional academic institution. It is earning accolades from government officials, and it has been shortlisted to become a secondary school. It's a primary school, so it serves kindergarten through grades. It would be in the US grade number 9. So from that age range, from kindergartners to basically age 13, it serves. So it has been shortlisted to become a secondary school, which would be the next evolution of its growth. And I will talk more about that in a second. So because of this school's journey from the one-room shanty to where it is now, we want to record a film about that, a documentary film. So this is step 1 of my vision and the vision I have for the organization, to create a film about this incredible school and its growth, about the challenges it's overcome. So we feel that once this film is out there, We feel that it will inspire others. It's a very timely and relevant film because what Malaysia has done is basically solved its own problems in its community on its own. It is the representative of a people powered solution to a community based problem. And my sense is that is exactly what the world needs now, people powered solutions to community based problems. And that's the invitation we're all given right now, to act on. This community can solve its own problem. Many other communities can as well. So that is intention number one for the film, to just spread the word and spread the inspiration and spread the love. Intention number two is that we feel it will elevate the visibility of our approach. Our particular approach to this school has been and is unique. We call it the journey driven approach. We did not set out from day one to create the change that has been created. We set out to serve, and we partnered with this community. We partnered with everybody at the school out of a spirit of love, because we just really were inspired by what was going on there. And over the years, we worked together, we worked on the problems, we worked on the challenges, and step by step, this amazing result has been had. And it really is remarkable what has occurred. We've taken a journey. We did not set out from the beginning to solve a problem. Everything that happened along the way was very organic, very in the moment. We'd like to get this approach out there because the world of philanthropy is upside down right now. So that is step number one in my vision. Number two, Malaysia Secondary School. The number one problem right now at Malaysia School, which is a primary school, is the fact that we have kids ending their education at around age 13 or grade 9 in the US system. That has always been a challenge all these years, that we've had kids finishing up primary school with nowhere else to go after they finish. So the next logical progression of their schooling would be secondary school, but they can't afford it. We have really dedicated students, highly disciplined, highly motivated, who are doing incredibly well academically, who then have nowhere to go after they finish their primary school education. And this has become very frustrating for us. So one solution is to find scholarships for them, and Matab has been issuing scholarships to certain students, but that is not sustainable. So what we want to do, like we did with Malaysia, is build a secondary school from scratch, from the ground up. And we would do that in our way. On the one hand, it would teach the government curriculum. On the other hand, it would be steeped in our values, and we would be allowed to do that. Long story short, we would like to build a secondary school which would serve a number of purposes. It would enable all of the Malaysia students who are not graduating an avenue to go to school. It would be steeped in our values of service and particularly environmental stewardship and social entrepreneurship. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. And it would also generate significant revenue, because maybe 20 or 30 seats of the secondary school would go to Malaysia students. We can maybe build a school large enough for 300 or 400 students. Those students would be from so-called middle class or even upper class backgrounds, so-called, and they would be paying full fees, which means that school would generate significant revenue on an annual basis to the tune of tens of thousands of dollars. The third aspect of our vision, self-reliance. So, with all of that extra revenue, what we would intend to do with that is subsidize Malaysia primary school. Right now, the Malaysia primary school receives approximately $30,000 of outside support from a very warm and heartfelt foundation that we've been working with for years. My dream for them all this time, and continues to be, has been for Malaysia to become 100% self-reliant, meaning it does not need any outside support. And by building this secondary school, we would funnel those excess funds, the surplus, to Malaysia Primary School so that it would become completely self-reliant. And that would be quite an achievement for anybody who is in the humanitarian or philanthropic world. It is exactly what you want to see when you share resources. You want to see that your beneficiary becomes independent, becomes self-reliant and sustainable, so that you, as the benefactor, can say, bye-bye. Thank you so much for the opportunity to serve. You all are okay now, and certainly we'll be here if you need us, but we have made ourselves essentially irrelevant, and that's exactly what we want to do. We don't want to keep. The last aspect of the four-part vision is to become a light, to be a light. So what that means is, and now I'm thinking maybe 4, 5, 6 years down the road, something like that. With the film out, the secondary school constructed, up and running, Malaysia School is now self-reliant, and also with our Umoja Center up and running, and I don't have time to talk about that. Matab would like to then step back from our field work, and we sense that at that point, with the results and our current level of credibility, that we could then start receiving and even asking for $1, 2, 3 million, and to then become more or less a consultative fund to help the next generation of social entrepreneurs and change makers, to help them come up, because I have a sense these are going to be the people who change the world, and we want to enable them. The hard part when you're coming up is the funding. So we want to solve that need for that generation of change makers. And listen to this, going back to the Malaysia Secondary School, we would very much encourage social entrepreneurship, meaning we would encourage people going to that school, the kids going to that school, young adults, to become change makers, to say, look at the world. The world is in need of people who have solutions to solve the most pressing social and environmental challenges. Let's start thinking about those, and let's equip you with the skills to solve those problems. And while teaching, of course, the government education, don't get me wrong, that government education would be taught. But we would be instilling these values and encouraging these kids that once they graduate, why don't you point your life in this way to solving the world's challenges, either in the community or on the world stage, and think really, really big. What if, for those kids who have really hot ideas after they graduate, if they don't want to go to university, or if they do want to go to university to get more education, that we as a nonprofit organization have a fund ready? And this is very Jobsian. He did this when he launched, Steve Jobs did this when he launched the App Store, if you remember. He had a $500 million fund to help entrepreneurs launch their ideas. This is a very similar thing. We don't need $500 million, maybe one or two down the road, to fund those social entrepreneurs coming out of the Malaysia Secondary School to fund their ideas, or any other change maker that we happen to come across. And in this way, we would become a light to those individuals and to humanity, and help serve the change that we feel is needed in the world. This is my vision. I'm sharing it with you for the very first time on this very special day, Martin Luther King Day. That's not by an accident or coincidence. I didn't engineer this. I'm not saying we're at that level, but we're cultivating that spirit of being a creatively maladjusted, non-conforming minority. And yes, we want to change the world. Thank you so much.